Yes, welcome to another great episode of the Ashish and Friends podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the NBA. The NBA is finally back. We are huge NBA nerds out here, and we're so excited that's finally back. We got 2 full days of NBA basketball that we were able to watch. Let's talk about that, Dev. I mean, of course, I'm
Yeah.
joined by my friend here, Dev at Super Laser. He's a huge Lakers fan. I'm a huge Mavs fan. They're playing tomorrow. They're playing on Christmas. We are so hyped for that. But let's jump into the games. The first night, you had the Warriors versus the Nets, and then we had the Lakers and Clippers. Let's talk about the first game, Warriors and the Nets.
Yeah, it's funny you say finally back because it's the shortest offseason that we've ever had, right?
Right.
But it feels like forever. Like the championship was so long ago. We went through all free agency draft. Like we're ready. We're hyped up, and then you say finally does apply to two or three of the players that we saw here in this opening matchup, right? Like I don't know. I was talking to Andrew about this, my roommate, that the last time we saw LeBron versus KD, which are like the two, biggest names in the sport, was Christmas 2018. It's been so long.
That is
Uh,
crazy. Yeah,
so
and
got to see them both
obviously,
play on the same night. It was awesome.
yeah, for sure. And then you're talking about the Warriors too. We haven't seen Steph for a bit as well. We're
Yeah.
obviously looking forward to seeing Clay. Obviously, he was out, but I mean, yeah, like a new Warriors team. You got Kelly Oubre there. You got Wiggins there. You've got James Wiseman. So we're just excited to watch and see what happens. I mean, honestly, I kind of felt like the Nets would win, but I thought the Warriors would cover the 7 point spread, and that's not what happened.
Yeah, so I expected this to be like a Nets win as well. The Warriors did not play a lick of defense all night. It was pathetic, and it really got me thinking because those obviously with Draymond out, like I expected their defense to be worse, but I don't know because the Warriors teams what made them successful was they were elite defensive teams, right? Like people always talk about the Warriors offense, all of the motion. Yeah, they were great offensive teams, but they were also top tier defensive teams, and that's what in the playoffs let them just clown everybody, you know? And this team cannot play any defense, and I don't see it getting any better. I don't know. Like I think we had the Warriors as like the eighth seed, right?
Yeah.
Coming in, I don't know. I don't want to overreact, obviously, but yeah, it was not a good showing.
Yeah, yeah, I was regretting that eighth seed pick after watching that game. But to be fair, Draymond Green wasn't in the game, right? So I think
Yeah.
that would benefit them. But you're right. Like when we think about the Warriors, obviously they're a good offensive team, but like you're talking about Clay, that's really good on defense, right? On the wing, you've got Draymond there, and back in those days, they had Andre Iguodala, a really great defensive wing as well. And now we're seeing all these young players in here. Kelly Oubre, known for the offensive end, not on the defensive end, right? So I think it's going to take some
Wiggins
time.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's gonna take some time. I think this team will look way better than they did that day because that was
Yeah, of
embarrassing for
course.
sure. But that was just fun to watch. I mean, I'll be honest, I watched like the first half, then I was just like,
Yeah.
just casually checking in after that. But it's nice to see the Slim Reaper back, and it's cool to see Kyrie Irving, doing well.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny thinking about it because I expected, like going into the game, I expected, KD, Kyrie to be rusty and maybe Steph to look a little bit better. But as I was thinking about it, KD and Kyrie have been healthier sooner than Steph has. If you really think about it, because KD and Kyrie were both like probably healthy enough to play in the bubble, but just didn't, right?
Right? Yeah.
And so like KD looked fresh. He looked like he's been healthy for a year, which is what it has been, right? Like he's been fully healthy for 6 months, and he looked like it. Yeah, I mean, if that's the KD we get for the whole year, this is an MVP candidate. I don't know if that's the KD we're gonna get. I expect him to, get more fatigued as the season goes on, but we'll see. Kyrie looked amazing. Honestly, the biggest takeaway for me from the Nets was LeVert.
Mm.
Now, I was really skeptical about them still having Karis LeVert and Dinwiddie on the roster going in because I think they're both terrible fits
Yeah.
for next to KD and Kyrie. And I still think they need to trade Spencer Dinwiddie. We'll see about that, what happens through the year. But Karis LeVert as a sixth man, it looked like it worked. It did look like, okay, this is like a Lou Williams type role that like he can fall into and play really well. And yeah, I actually think they can keep LeVert, and if he plays that role and he keeps doing like what he did, this is a scary team.
It is a scary team because I mean they did so well, and I mean the starting DeAndre Jordan, right? Like you still have Jarrett
Yeah.
Allen on the bench, right? And that's like a starting caliber center in this league.
Right.
So I mean they have enough talent. Like this is something we talked about. Maybe they do end up sending some of these pieces out because they have so much depth. But like the depth they have is actually really really good. And like you mentioned, KD, I mean MVP candidate right there. This is gonna be spectacular. But hey, let's give it 20, 30 games. Let Kyrie be a little bit more toxic, and then let's see how it let's see what happens. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens then.
we'll definitely see what happens. You want to move into the Lakers Clippers game?
Yeah, I mean the nighttime games. I mean, like I said, Dev's a huge Lakers fan. I'm a Mavs fan. Both played on the late night show, right? Like I was
Yeah.
up super late watching these games. But obviously, I'm gonna throw it to you. You're the huge Lakers fan. What are you thinking about that game?
Yeah, so like I fully expected the Lakers to lose this game. I had no like hope for them winning this game, to be honest. Like I just expected it's ring night. The ring night ceremony was fun. It was really cool to just see like all of these players getting congratulated. One thing that I always find like funny about ring night is like what order they choose to give people the rings in.
Right.
And it was just really funny. It made me laugh because like before the season, everyone was talking about how Kyle Kuzma was supposed to be that third guy, right? It was supposed to be, AD, LeBron, and Kyle Kuzma. And Alex Caruso is getting his ring after Kuzma. KCP getting his ring after Kuzma. So it's just really funny that to see that. I don't know how they do the order. Is it just minutes played? I don't know what it is, but
That is a good
it's
point.
so funny.
I'm not totally sure how that works out, but it is pretty funny and it's pretty cool and emotional. Seeing the families give it out. So it's funny seeing Giannis out there give it to his brother.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Obviously you had like LeBron's mom and uncle, and then his children there, and yeah, that's really awesome. And I mean, you have to expect like it's an emotional night, right? Especially during this time where you're kind of away from everybody, getting that what you went through. I mean, I kind of expected the Lakers to lose you, and you have to imagine the Lakers went to the finals. They're exhausted, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's be real. The Clippers out in the second round, they're enjoying. They wanted this win so
Yeah,
badly. They're like,
they were in Cancun, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They were ready.
exactly. Like, I think this is something we saw on the second day of the NBA. Like, all these teams that had enough rest, had their own thing going on, they ended up winning a lot of games because everyone else is exhausted. It's only been 2 months. It's like what 78 days since the finals ended. So, I mean, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Well, we'll get into it, right? But the Nuggets looked exhausted. Like
yeah.
the Nuggets just did not look like they were ready to play NBA basketball yet, which is kind of what I expected. They
Exactly.
went to 2 7-game series, then had to deal with the Lakers. Yeah.
It takes a toll on your body for sure, and with such a short amount. This is something I told you about too. Like I didn't expect the vets to get too many minutes to start out the season because I think they need some rest to start out. But yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the Clippers Lakers game, it was like a blowout in the first quarter or so. I was like, I even messaged you. I was like, bro, like this does not look fun at all. Luckily, the Lakers came back and made it
Right.
interesting for quite a bit, and then they Clippers
Yeah.
blew the lid open in the fourth.
Right. I think we were messaging a little bit during the game, right? And I said like all I expect from the Lakers, like all I want out of this game is one good quarter. And they
Right.
gave us that, right? Like that's what I was looking for. Can they like sing for one quarter, look good? And they did give us that. They showed the glimpses of like, yeah, this team can is still the same team. It's going to be scary when they get the engine revved up. Um I think when I had more takeaways for the Clippers, to be honest. Uh the first thing is like, man, when Paul George is hitting shots, like this team is close to unbeatable, right? Like the
Yeah.
Lakers had kept it close, and then as soon as Paul George hit like three threes in a row or whatever, I was like, okay, they're gonna pack it up. Like everyone knew, kind of, right? Lakers are gonna pack it up with Paul George on. Um, but yeah, Paul George is looking scary, and Ibaka, man, Ibaka was looking amazing. So that was one we talked about. Is it a side grade? Is it an upgrade? Looking like an upgrade so far.
Looking like an
So,
upgrade so far. And like
yeah,
that's something we talked about too, is like some of their depth, right? That they
yeah.
lost with Montrezl Harrell leaving, JaMychal. They didn't look like they missed too much of a beat, to be honest, and they looked really good. Paul George scoring 33 points looked really good outside of that one pass to the referee. But he
Hey,
looked really good
that
that
ref
night.
was open though, so I
It
got to give
was
him some credit. The
wide
ref
open.
was wide open.
He's just trying to get everybody involved. All right, but yeah, I think that's a nice little wrap there. Interested to see how they play each other going forward. Obviously, it's the first game, not going to take too much out of this, but it'll be fun seeing these two teams face off later on down the road.
Yeah, if only we had like a year to go off where the Clippers won opening night, but didn't win the championship. Yeah, if only that had happened before.
Right. All right, let's jump into day two of the NBA. All right, we had our first postponage of a game, right? The Rockets and Thunder. I mean, let's see if that's the thing, going forward, because like two people tested positive. Obviously, Harden having his fun, and doing whatever he wants to do. But that game got postponed. Maybe that's something that happens in the future. Obviously, we didn't have this happen during the bubble, so it's just something new and interesting to see here. And
And
then
this is why they released only half the schedule, right? And they had those extra 2 weeks to make up games.
yeah,
Someone was talking about the fact that since Houston was the one who broke protocol, that like they should just forfeit. I'm sure OKC doesn't want the win. Like OKC's like, no, we want to. Like, we're not accepting this forfeit. We gotta get this free loss.
right. They're just trying to get the highest picks in the draft, right? They're like, no, we can't take this to win right here. But like, you obviously got like the Hornets and Cavs. I mean, who cares about that game? The Knicks and Pacers. Knicks were actually really good. The RJ Barrett, I think, was perfect up to halftime, but they ended up losing to the Pacers. But I was a little shocked. I was like, damn, the Knicks look good for the first half. I mean, like I said, I think they have a lot of talented pieces, a lot of young pieces, but I mean, yeah, we don't expect anything out of them this year. The Magic beat the Heat. So when I'm talking about these teams that rested, right? The Magic don't even have Jonathan Isaac, right? Who's like probably the best piece. He's out for the whole year, and they beat the Heat 113 to 107. So that's what I'm talking about. Like these players are exhausted. The Heat went to the finals. They're like, all right, F it. Orlando out here winning games. It's wild.
Yeah, and we saw it again too. The Mavs losing with this to the Suns as well. Nuggets, right? Like Trailblazers looked awful. Like,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly
there's
it.
so much rust.
Right, right. And of course, Russell Westbrook, went off, had his triple double. I expected this, dude. I was gonna bet on this game. I was like, no, 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 no. Russell has something to prove. I cannot take the 76ers to win. Luckily they won, but like barely, right? It was a pretty
Yeah.
good game. I
Was
mean,
there was there a prop bet for Russell Westbrook getting a triple double? Because like that would have been something I might have considered
I
betting. You know?
I would definitely I think that would have been the favorite, right? Like you'd barely
Yeah,
win anything. Like
yeah. You
everyone
probably you probably
thinks
wouldn't have
something.
won much.
I did not see it, but yeah, I was just like, I was feeling it. I was like, not betting on the Wizards because I know Westbrook's gonna go off. But hey, look, they look really good. Westbrook and Beal, I think they'll be exciting to watch for the Wizards fans this year. So let's see what happens there.
And that was something too. Joel looked really nice. I will say that like I didn't watch a lot of this game, but I saw some highlights from it, and I did notice that Joel definitely is looking a little slow on some of his passes. Like they doubled him. The Wizards doubled him pretty much anytime he touched the ball.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
if he was in the post at all, a double was coming. I expect Joel to be a little bit crisper. I think that like this is a game that kind of got away from the 76ers a little bit. But came down the stretch, closed out the game, looked good. The Seth Curry, is filling his role nicely. It was good to see him being playable at the end of the game, right? Like that's something I was so excited about because with the Mavs lineup, Seth and Luca worked so well together, but then it was like, okay, we have no defense at the end of the game, so we can't play Seth.
yeah.
And it was cool just because they've got Ben Simmons, Tobias, Joel. Like they really don't have any defensive worries. So Seth being on the court at the end of the game, that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, the fact that he can just do what he does and do it well, because like you mentioned, when you're talking about the Mavs, obviously we loved his scoring, right? It's fantastic, but like on the defensive end, you're having Luca and like a really small guard out there. It's not going to work out. But yeah, that's fantastic to watch. Glad they got a win, but this is going to be an exciting team, right? Like we expect really good things from this team. Joel Embiid, 29-14, he went off, he did his thing.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the Bucks and the Celtics, right? Like,
Yeah.
woo,
This is the big
woo.
game, right?
That was the most exciting thing, in the early games last night. It was just like, wow, Jason Tatum with the beard, uh, step three on Giannis, right? Like after the first game after his, supermax
Right.
extension. Oh my god,
So,
that hurt. That hurt.
so this is something that like we could definitely have a conversation about, but like are we really gonna give Tatum credit for this shot? Like this dude missed so badly it banked in, right? He
Right.
was so off that it went in.
Right.
Like this is great defense from Giannis. Like this is an awful shot. Um, Not to take away
It's
from
pretty
Tatum
bad.
because he did
No,
have a good game.
it
Yeah,
was not a good shot.
it
It was a
was just,
step back three on Giannis. It went off like you said.
you know,
It hit the backboard, and I was like, damn, like that's not something you expect, right? He didn't call board,
yeah.
honestly.
He called game though, so you know
Yeah,
it's
he called game. Yeah,
you know, I was thinking because you know that the Paul George meme, like that's a bad shot. Like Dame shot is like a typical Dame Lillard shot, right?
right.
This is actually a bad shot. Like it's a fine shot selection. I think the step back three is like a fine shot selection there. But like, oh my god, that was awful. And then um
Because like,
props to Budenholzer for getting a nice play called. Giannis was able to get open and had a shot. Really, I mean, he got goaltended. Really,
yeah,
right? Like he makes this with if he doesn't get fouled. So like great play call from the coach there, and it was just an exciting game.
no, for sure. It's fun, two powerhouse teams in the East. It'll be fun to watch, down the road in the playoffs how this pans out. But yeah, this is a fun game, awesome finish. And this, like you mentioned, it's kind of a thing. If Tatum missed the shot, people be like, "Oh, he couldn't pass it to someone else, right? Like Jalen Brown
Yeah,
was gone off, you couldn't throw it to him or something, right?" So it's kind of like, "Oh, it went in,
yeah.
amazing shot."
I try not to be so this is just like a general thing, right? Like I try not to be as results oriented. It's about like the process, right? If
Yeah,
you do the process correctly, the results will eventually come, right? So whether or not he hits the shot isn't important. It's like what did they look like during the game, right?
right, right, right.
And I thought the Celtics looked good. Honestly, like I was kind of worried they didn't have Kemba, but Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, they have enough offense, honestly. Like offense isn't the problem. And that's where it's like, okay, when you bring in Kemba, it becomes it's gonna be weird. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. We'll see, as Tatum and Brown develop. I did have one like just random rant that I noticed from the game.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's the green or what, but like Celtics players just look shorter than like they actually are on TV. I don't know what this is, but Tristan Thompson looked way smaller than he did in the Cavs uniform, and I don't know if it's just the color of the jersey or what. But like, cause I put it like the side by side picture, he looks the same. But like when you're watching the TV, Tristan looks way smaller.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know. It's
about.
the green, this is my conspiracy theory. Green jerseys, they're slimming on TV. They make you look shorter. We'll see. Maybe the Mavs will look shorter tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh geez. Yeah, it's the Celtic leprechaun effect, right? It's called the leprechaun effect.
The
How
leprechaun
you
effect.
look a little shorter in the green. I did
Yeah.
not notice that. I'll have to we'll have to do a further study on this. Real quickly here, the Raptors made the playoffs. They ended up losing to the Pelicans. Pelicans looking really good, right? Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram showing out, almost had a triple double. He had 24, 9, and 11. That is sick. And Zion, I mean, I'm just excited to watch him. Hopefully, he can stay healthy this whole year, but that'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah, that will be something to look forward to, right? Zion's been playing well. He was super efficient, right? I think he was what 7 for 8 or something.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
something ridiculous. Like his efficiency was really great. He did have quite a few turnovers. Lonzo had some turnovers. Bi had some turnovers, but it's the first game of the season. We expect turnovers.
Yeah,
I think
we'll
this
get
team
into
could be
this.
scary. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. Like I said, as long as they stay healthy, they have some new pieces. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned, they gave away Drew Holiday. They have a new guard in there, but let's see, they have enough talent. I think they'll be really exciting to watch throughout the season.
Right, and then the Blazers Jazz too. Uh, I just want to talk about the fact that like man, the Blazers did not play any defense. Like it. So that's another thing. So when I look right, we talk about the process, right? The Blazers look like they're cheating the process. Same with the Warriors. They're not engaged. They were not locked in. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they're just looking forward to their Christmas matchup, right? They've got a big game on Christmas, but man, the Blazers looked bad. And conversely, the Jazz did look really good. Rudy Gobert Yeah, doing Rudy Gobert things, I guess. But
Rudy Gobert signs gets that big money deal, goes off for 20 and 17. Like, it's
yeah,
just fantastic. I mean, luckily I bet on the Jazz because I just felt like it's gonna take some time for the Blazers to pull all these pieces
yeah,
together. But yeah, the Jazz looked really nice. It's a scary team. I didn't expect this, but hey, they won pretty easily, and it'll be fun to watch this team. Both these teams, right? We expect them to make
yeah.
the playoff. So let's see what happens down the road.
And And with like what happened in the bubble, Donovan Mitchell's like performance has gotten like very overlooked because like we got so excited about Murray and Jokic, the Clippers collapsing, the Lakers winning, all of the stuff in the East, right? The Heat, that we kind of just forgot about how great Mitchell was in that series. And man, Mitchell looks amazing still. Like I'm excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. Really talented player. I mean, arguably maybe the most interesting and most fun series to watch was the Jazz versus the Nuggets, right? Murray
I
and
think it was. I think you
Mitchell.
could say it was the best series of that or the Nuggets versus the Clippers.
Right, right. So yeah, they
Yeah,
both went to the 7. That's why I just want to leave it
yeah,
there. But like, yeah, the Nuggets and Jazz, like Mitchell was dropping like
yeah.
40, 50, Murray was dropping 40, 50, and went to game 7. Went off to the Mike Conley 3-point shot that,
The
rimmed out.
weirdest ending to a game I've seen in a while. That was that game seven. Those last like 20 seconds, like I don't know what happened. It was bizarre.
It was. But yeah, it is what it is. Jazz look like a good team. It'll be fun to watch these teams in the future. Kings stole a win against the Nuggets. Buddy Hield with the last second tip in off the Harrison Barnes missed shot. But yeah, the Kings got a win. That's just fantastic. But this is what we're saying. The Nuggets, they're exhausted, right? Like they went 7-game series twice, right? And played against the Lakers. They're just tired. Like Jokic still did his thing. 29, 15, and 14. Like, oh my God. Like, this is an MVP candidate right there. Not too much to complain about. But like I said, I think they just need to take some time, rest up the players, and we'll see what happens. But it is a cool, another last second win. So that was fun to watch.
Got your exciting, NBA games. At the end of NBA games, there's nothing more exciting, right? In all the sports than the last 2 minutes of an NBA game, and that one went to overtime too, didn't it? So you got even more. Uh, you got even more. You basically got the last 7 minutes instead of the last two.
Right, right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly. So, all right. So, real quickly, Timberwolves beat the Pistons. No one really
Yeah.
cares. The Spurs rested so much, right? They beat the Grizzlies, 131, 119. The Hawks looking really hot. Obviously, Trae Young went off for 37 points. They won 124 against the shitty Bulls. So, shout out to you, Shahan. Your Bulls still suck, but
Yeah, well, shout
uh,
out to him for being on the Trae Young hype train, though. So at least this will give him a positive shout out as well.
no, mine's purely negative. All right, and lastly, last night, oh man, 9:30 tip off. Can you imagine? I was up at 9:30 watching the tip off, Mavs versus the Suns. It turned out to be a really good game. The first quarter was so bad for the Mavs. I mean, I think Luca was 2 for 9. It's actually a really off night for Luca, right? He went off for 32, 8 and 5, and he was actually playing really badly. So like, I don't mind the loss here. It went to the final minutes. It was actually really close. It was tied with like 2 minutes left. But I think when you're looking at the team, Brunson had a really good fourth quarter. Was pretty bad at first through third. You don't have KP. Luca had a bad night. He still ended up losing only by 4 points. So, I mean, when we're talking about turnovers here, the Suns had like 18 plus. This is ridiculously high. But it was a really fun game to watch, and it'll be interesting to see. The Mavs, they lost. The Lakers, they lost. Both teams are going to be hungry for that win on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch this game. How did Chris Paul look?
He looked good, and he also looked bad, right?
Okay.
He looked a little sloppy, but like I said, he didn't have any preseason games, right? He looked really good though. Like his mid-range shots going in. He's Chris Paul. Chris Paul did Chris Paul things. Devin Booker looked really, really good though. 22
Yeah.
and 5 and 3. And CP and Booker were actually the ones who like hit the 2 shots to put them to 106.
Oh, okay.
Because the game was tied 102, 102. But yeah, I mean, they did a good job. It was a fun team to watch, and like I said, I'm looking forward to the Mavs and Suns, both playoff contenders here down the road. But yeah, so like I said, Mavs Lakers tomorrow.
Yeah.
What
Well,
are
I
your
guess that
thoughts?
means yeah, I guess that means the Suns are still undefeated in the pandemic. So like once a pandemic strikes, You got to stay away from the Suns. You know, hopefully by the end of the year the vaccines will be out, so we don't have to worry about pandemic Suns. But
Yeah, you're right. Still undefeated. They're 9-0 now, right? Like, how long can this streak continue? Let's see, to be determined. But yeah, man. So we'll talk about the Christmas games afterwards. But let's get into this Mavs and Lakers Christmas Day game, right? This is your team, my team. What do you feel about
yeah,
this? The spread's at 6.5 points.
yeah, 6.5 points. I'm gonna take the Lakers. Let's.
Yeah,
You want to put some money on it? I don't know. You want to do some friendly wager, a dinner?
yeah. Either
Yeah.
money or we'll do a dinner, right? We'll do a dinner
Okay.
at the other person's favorite spot, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
We'll even record it. We'll vlog it. All right.
Yeah.
But
Well.
yeah, sounds good. I don't feel good about the 6.5 spread, to be honest.
Yeah.
I need 9 points out here. But
Well, I'll give you 7.5. I'll give you an extra point to
all right,
make it a little bit nicer. You
loving
know,
it. Yeah.
we'll see. NBA spreads are really hard because it's like sometimes you'll end up with a close game that's like a blowout and then you lose the spread, or like you have a blowout game where they just stop trying in the minute and the garbage time Mavs come through and beat the spread or whatever. So spread games for the NBA are weird, but yeah, I'm excited. I assume like both the Lakers and Mavs probably will look better than they looked in their opening games, I assume.
Yeah, like that's
But
what I'm worried about. Like I was hoping the Lakers won their first game so they could take a chill on Christmas. But it's Christmas Day. It's national TV. The Mavs are going to be wearing their new green uniforms, right? Which I'm so excited about. But yeah, I'm a little worried now. I'm like LeBron's going to look for revenge out here. He wants to go off on Christmas Day. I'm a little scared here, but it'll be a fun game for sure, and a whole lineup of really good games tomorrow.
yeah, I'm super excited honestly about all of the games tomorrow. I think there's good matchups all around. I know people were complaining that the Pelicans got a Christmas game, but okay, Zion's a draw. You know, I'm excited to watch Zion. I get it. The Heat kind of got robbed a little of having a good game. You know, like they kind of deserved and earned a primetime spot. But
That's true. They kick it off at noon, but hey, if I'm the Heat, I'm kind of excited we get the Pelicans stuff like this super contender out here because I mean you just lost to the Magic, right? So like you still get Zion. You're bringing attention to yourself. It'll be a good matchup, I think. The one I'm not looking forward to is probably the Warriors and Bucks now, right? Like
yeah, I
unless
expect
the
this to be a blowout now.
unless the Warriors get their shit together within one day. I mean, like I don't know what's gonna happen here, but like that's the one game I'm not too interested about. Nets Celtics. Like, let's be real. This is going to be a really fun matchup. These are two powerhouses in the East. You got KD, you've got Tatum and Jalen Brown, Kyrie. I mean, all these nice star players out here. So let's
Do
see
you
what
have a
happens.
prediction for that game?
Uh, let me see the
I don't mean to
spread
put you on the spot.
real quick here. What's my prediction? You know what? I'll go with the Celtics.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You know, this is me being a little bit of a Kyrie hater, but I expect him to try to ball hog a little bit to show up against the Celtics.
All
You
right.
know,
Well, the spread's at Nets -3. Yeah. So
yeah, I think that's a pretty fair spread.
yeah. You know what? I'll go with the Nets now. I can't be on the same side as Dev. I'm gonna take the Nets. I'm feeling pretty good about the Nets, and I think they're gonna do a great job.
Yeah, and then we got the Mavs Lakers, which we talked about, and then the last game, Clippers Nuggets. Oh, that's going to be a spicy game.
Very spicy. I mean, let's be real. The Clippers are upset with the Nuggets too, right? They want that win. I think the Nuggets are gonna win though. I think they're still gonna win. I think Jokic is still
Wow.
gonna go off.
That would be awesome. I would love to see a Nuggets win. I expect the Clippers win, but I'm cheering for the Nuggets. I think it would be awesome to see like let's get a like a 30-30 game. 30 from Jokic, 30 from Jamal. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think Clippers are looking for revenge. This is their revenge tour right here. Early season, they're gonna do the best they can. Then playoffs, we'll see what happens. But they want to beat the Nuggets. I think Kawhi and Paul George are still gonna be really great. But like, let's not lie. Like Jamal Murray is gonna try to step up as well. Michael Porter Jr. and like I said, they still got the Joker out there, and I think he's gonna show out. And who are they gonna throw out there? Like Zubac isn't gonna stop Jokic that much, right? Like, let's be real. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and Ibaka is not the right kind of defender to deal with Jokic either. So it's like,
No, no.
yeah,
That is not what you want. But hey,
yeah,
that's what I want because Nuggets getting that W tomorrow night. But that'll be very exciting. We'll talk about that the day after Christmas. We'll post an episode, and we're looking forward to that. But thanks again for tuning in, and we're out. See ya.